I'm John Miglosh for the Wisconsin DMA and the International Society for Strategic Marketing. We got 8 degrees this morning when I came over to visit, and that's not bad for January. That's kind of balmy. It's going to get up in the mid-20s, which is great. I'm going up to Minneapolis tomorrow, and I expect that to be colder. We'll have to check it out, see if I need my Siberian fox fur hat, which is only good below zero or you get too hot. And so this is a remnant from the Packer game, and unfortunately, they didn't do that great. Right? That's the way it is. That's the way it is. That's what I expect. From the very first time Aaron Rodgers started playing, I expected him to eat the ball and get sacked. Every now and then he sparks brilliance, but if they don't make it on first and second down, then the opposition knows to blitz, and Aaron Rodgers eats the ball and gets sacked. Now, average teams can't just blitz willy-nilly, but good teams with good defense and can play man-to-man in the secondary, they can do it. And so whenever we get to the big game, that's what happens. Now, Aaron did win one Super Bowl. It was a miracle they made the playoffs. The Bears decided to bench all their starters so that they would give us a pass. And even then, it took a muff punt at the very end of the game for the Packers to get in. If it weren't for that punt, the Packers would have been watching from the sidelines. Instead, they made the last wild card slot, got to play the Bears again, fortunately. So that was a miracle in itself. And then they ran the table as the out-of-town underdog in every game. And I think that was probably good for Aaron. He doesn't do well when he's favored. I think he doesn't do that well whenever he's up against a great team. But anyway, that aside, that's why I got my gold turtleneck on. Let's dig into the news. Okay, lots of news, and I'm on the wrong. There we go. Hit the button. And as usual, all of the somehow all of the sizes got redone. We'll move them down here, and we'll just do our best. We'll have a little one there, and we'll just go. I'm all PDF today, so that should be okay. We'll just keep that there. We'll make that a little bigger, and we're good. Luckily, I know something about running this stuff, or I'd be really dead, right? I'd be really, really more dead than I am, but we can fix it fast. Okay, well, that's Stephen Yu's article, and we're going to get to that. But first, I want to go over here and just recap holiday sales, which I have lots of information on. Retail online sales advanced a little less than expected. It was hard to find that. Online went up 13.1%. It had been projected 13.5%, according to Digital Commerce 360, which I read. This is where this one, I think, came from. Right? Yeah. And they take themselves maybe a little too seriously. National Retail Federation, which keeps in mind catalog, call centers, and other things as non-store sales, was up 14.6%, which was better than expected. They had projected 11 to 14%. A lot of stuff was out. At Land's End, this is Land's End. At Land's End, they were out of a lot of stuff. So you can't sell from an empty wagon. One of the rules of so I don't think the retailer I don't think everybody was prepared for the demand that there was, and you can't go back and get a second one, especially in this season where Thanksgiving at the 28th of November was 6 fewer days than last year, and that's in a window of about 40 days. So what we're talking about is not even about 30. So we're talking about like a 20-25% reduction in the number of shopping days. And nevertheless, we still got a 4% increase. Overall holiday retail sales online and offline grew 4.1% to $730 billion. That sounds like a lot of money to me, which is in line with National Retail Federation's projection of 3.8 to 4.2. So it's at the top end. So good for that. Okay, now I talked a little bit about Google phasing out cookies, and I've learned a lot since I did that last week. And the most important part to notice here is the word third-party cookies. Okay, so if you go to Amazon and you look at a product, they can drop a cookie on your thing and it'll follow you around all over the place, which you probably noticed. I highly recommend using a private browser that doesn't accept cookies when you go to Amazon and most other retail shopping, and especially airline tickets, because I've heard, probably not true, but could be, that if you go back multiple times to check on the same pricing for the same destinations and stuff, the price goes up because they know you're serious, not down. So use a private browser. If you don't know what that is, leave a comment. Okay, and what I've learned about third-party cookies is that those are not those first-party cookies. If you go to Amazon, look at a product, you get a first-party cookie. If you go to Amazon, could be, you got one from some tracking service that would follow you around the internet even after you left Apple or even after you left Amazon. And that would be a way to tell all kinds of other stuff besides where you bought stuff or what you were looking at. The third party are going away. The first party are staying. And so, wonderful, excellent article over here called An Open Letter Regarding Google's Chrome Privacy News. And this guy says, don't panic. Just like we panicked over Safari, the sky is falling. Don't panic. I don't know if this is a guy or a girl. I don't mean to be sexist about it. Actually, it's someone named Solomon or something. Adam Solomon. Okay, so it is a guy. But anyway, could have been. Okay, so what he has to say is that there are DMPs and third-party data providers. So I had to look up what a DMP is because he doesn't say. DMP is a data management platform, I believe, which basically means a database. It means nothing. But for some reason, an acronym is cooler, and he uses it like 4 times in a row. Why don't you just spell it out once? Anyway, so what this all means is that we collect first-party data across all of a brand or publisher's touch points. So you might have multiple magazines, you might have multiple sites, you might have consumers that go to various ones. We collect those first parties. And then we put them in a database with other first parties. And catalogers have been doing this for decades. Literally. They would say, okay, who bought this year? Let's find their address. And if we all pool our names, we'll know that John Miglosh bought in Heartland, even though he might not have bought from you, he might have bought from somebody else. And so maybe he hasn't bought from you in 2, 3, 4, 5 years, but he's bought from Land's End anyway, because he likes Land's End, obviously. And so now I don't think Land's End's in those because they're big enough that they don't care and they do other stuff. But lots of little catalogers, like hundreds of them, would pool their data together, called a co-op, and they could find your activity even if you hadn't bought from them. So they might have had an order from you 5 years ago. Now here we're trying to do modeling, me, and I'm looking at the 5-year-old buyers and saying, are there any of these worth mailing? Now, if you mailed them all, you'd get some orders. The problem is you wouldn't get enough orders to pay for the mailing, which is why mailers tend to be careful about who they mail. Junk mail, epithet aside, we're more careful than most of these digital guys where it costs almost nothing, or emailers. But anyway, so we would say, oh, these people bought somewhere else, so they're worth a try. And that's what we did. And so that's still going to go on. And I did have to look up OTT IDs. OTT is over the top. There's another good acronym. And what it meant was another box you'd put on top of your cable box or put it on top of your TV, and it would let you view cable through the old TV, non-digital TV, etc. And so over the top is stuff that was on top of your TV, and it means basically trackable TV and trackable digital ads that nowadays pop up when you go on Netflix or something. You'll see other ads along the sides and things. Okay, so third-party cookies are gone, but